All right, this week's challenge comes from a veganism website, and here's how the challenge goes. The most common manifestation of speciesist discrimination is moral anthropocentrism, which is the devaluation of the interest of those who don't belong to the human species. The lives and experiences of non-human animals are usually considered less important than those of human beings simply because they are not like humans. Yet non-human animals have emotional lives and feel pain, pleasure, fear, and joy. Devaluing their lives simply because they don't have some characteristics that most humans have is discrimination. Every characteristic and circumstance that is used to discriminate against non-human animals, such as lack of rationality, language ability, social connections, also applies to some humans. Yet we don't use those things to measure the worth of humans. Adult humans who can reason, infants, the cognitively disabled, and orphans are all considered equally valuable. The reason we try not to harm other humans is because they can feel and suffer. So there is a lot said in that whole challenge, but the bottom line is they're saying that we shouldn't discriminate against non-human animals, specifically sentient animals. Now it's true, we do discriminate, and that's because our culture has largely been influenced by a Judeo-Christian worldview. And that worldview says that there is a God and that He has created all life, plants, animals, and of course humans as well. And in particular, though, He has made human beings in the image of God, which means, therefore, that humans are more valuable than animals, and therefore we're allowed to use animals for our benefit. However, that same worldview also says that we are to be good stewards of the environment and of animals as well. So in other words, although we're allowed to use animals for our benefit, we are not allowed to abuse them. Now, I recognize that this veganism website probably does not adhere to the Judeo-Christian worldview. They probably don't believe in God or believe in Christianity in any way. But this raises an interesting point then. If they don't believe in God, then what is their grounding for animal rights? After all, a right is a just claim to something. And if there is no God, who or what is to give animals the right to not be eaten? There is none. Now, atheism and evolution, of which probably the people at that website are advocates of, teaches probably at least three things that are inconsistent with their claim that there is unjust discrimination occurring against sentient animals. And the first is this. Atheism and evolution teach there is no creator. There is no person who indwells human beings or even especially animals with rights. So as a result, there's no reason why we should think animals are valuable. Evolution says that basically the same blind and random chance processes that led to the emergence of, say, cows and goats also led to the emergence of mosquitoes and cockroaches and ants. So in reality, there's nothing that says, according to the atheistic, naturalistic, evolutionary worldview, that sentient animals are valuable because they are sentient. The second thing that the atheistic and evolutionary worldview teaches that is inconsistent with this whole claim about not discriminating against animals, sentient animals, is that natural selection operates. And natural selection teaches that the strong survive and the weak are eventually eliminated. And of course, this is a problem for their claim against unjust discrimination. And the third thing consistent with atheism and evolution, but not consistent with this veganism claim, is that there is no moral grounds for objecting to this particular form of discrimination. And the reason is because if there's no God, there is no lawgiver, there is no moral lawgiver to claim that it is wrong to eat sentient animals. Now, according to evolutionists, the only morality that you could possibly derive from evolution would be survival and reproduction. Whatever gets your genes into the next generation is the only type of morality that's available. And again, that would just be an arbitrary one that's decided upon by people who advocate evolution. So to summarize those 3 points, according to the atheistic and naturalistic worldview, the evolutionary worldview, you don't have any grounding for claiming that sentient animals should not be eaten. The only reason why sentient animals should not be eaten is because there are these vegans going around saying that we shouldn't eat sentient animals. It's also interesting to note that although they claim that we are engaging in a type of discrimination by eating sentient animals, they are actually also engaging in a form of discrimination by saying that non-sentient animals do not have to be protected in the same way. So in other words, what makes sentient animals the key type of animal to protect? Why is sentience the key characteristic that's relevant here? They're just simply arbitrarily and willy-nilly deciding that sentience is the key thing. So while they oppose some forms of discrimination, like eating sentient animals, they actually are engaging in another form of discrimination by not saying that non-sentient animals should also not be eaten. Here's the bottom line. Veganism, in the context of atheism and evolution, can't object to eating sentient animals, okay, because there's no grounding for it on their view. And they can't complain on moral grounds because morality on the atheistic and evolutionary worldview is arbitrary at best and an illusion at worst. The Christian worldview, on the other hand, actually puts animals and humans in the right perspective. It says that humans are more valuable than animals and we can use animals for our benefit. However, that same worldview also says that it's not permissible to abuse animals or to even abuse our environment. So actually it turns out that the Christian worldview is the best grounding for protecting animals that should not be abused.